So I'm going to take you through a sample research exercise. Okay. And hopefully this will give you a better clarity and better understanding of how this entire game works. Right. So exercise one, when you're doing any kind of user research, is customer development plan. Right. You have to first figure out who are my users, because उसके बिना तुम objective set नहीं कर पाओगे. Correct? So you first set up who are my users, their businesses, their customers, their users, their parents, their siblings, their friends. What are the demographics? You set up the entire gamut of things. What are their habits? Are they already sharing photos on social media? For example, if I was doing something like Instagram or like Shazam for shoes, I would like to ask a question like this, right? Are they already sharing content? Because somebody who is into such things would be very comfortable taking photos, right? So do they create content or just share? Who are they? Where are they accessing from? Mobile se use kar rahe hain, desktop se use kar rahe hain. Where do they spend time? What kind of apps are they spending time on? When do they need your product? Is it a time of a day, during a big moment in their child's life? I'm giving you all sort of questions that you need to ask. Why do they need your product, right? Do other products not meet those needs? उनके पास कोई alternative तो होगा. अगर ये product exist नहीं करता है, we are sure that they would be using something else to achieve what they wanted to do, right? So do other products exist to fit their needs? If not product, is there a hack that exists that would allow them to do the job that they want to do? How do they access your products? Is it going to be one-time download? It's going to be web app. It's going to be iPhone app. It's going to be Chrome extension. It's going to be Siri app. It's going to be Alexa app. Multitude of things, right? So you create and share 2-3 customer segments, at least 2-3. एक से काम नहीं होता है. What are their habits, and how will you find them? And finally, what problem assumptions are you trying to test? ये सारे questions का एक आंसर निकालो and you create a customer development plan. ठीक है. I just want to highlight one quick thing, which is, do other products exist to fit their needs? Okay. So there is a very interesting theory of jobs to be done. So there's a whole theory by, I forgot who is the professor here, who talks about how products are hired to get jobs done. Okay, and there's a huge presentation and a talk where he explains this entire theory of jobs to be done framework. A lot of product managers use jobs to be done framework as well, but it has not caught up really well. But it's a very good alternate perspective to look at products, that products exist to get jobs done for users. Like I keep saying, products are carrier of values. Similarly, jobs to be done. Okay. Just remind me to share that video with you and share that. So moving along. So once you have the customer development plan in place, the next thing is, and obviously with this you have also sort of set up the hypothesis or the objective, that what you want to test. Okay. Then comes the interview script, assuming that we are going to do an interview series. We are essentially just conducting an interview of the user. Typically spend about 15 minutes to create a quick interview script. Okay. A good interview script would cover almost all of these stages. This is based off a very good book by Ash Maurya's Running Lean. There's a book called Running Lean. उसके ऊपर है. Right. So you essentially set up the entire discussion, then you test the problem, then you ask a few more follow-up questions, and finally document the results. I'll give you an example. So for example, I've taken the liberty of creating a sample interview for this particular case itself. Okay, for this particular case, for this course itself. I'm sorry. So welcome script could be: we are building a comprehensive job-ready course on product management for aspiring product managers like you to build and grow your career. Then I go about collecting the demographics. So I'm trying to understand who this customer is, and is he or she a really a customer, or an early adopter, or just somebody who might end up becoming a product manager who doesn't even know about product management, for example. So I would like to assess by asking about, what is your current job like? Why do you want to do product management? I'm sure a good chunk of you would remember the kind of question that I was asking, right? Have you built a product? If not, do you want to, and why do you want to, right? Then you tell a story, give a little background about the problem that you're solving. So there's a massive demand supply gap in the market for good product managers. With a strong shift towards digital, there are just not enough people who can build great solutions for uncharted problems. Structured courses are far and few for product managers and are not aligned with industry requirements. Hence, their placement ratios are abysmal. Is this something you have faced? Is this something you have personally gone through? Then I'll go ahead and ask to rank the problems that they're facing. Ask to rank the top three problems. Don't ask for everything because that becomes very problematic. Always ask for top three problems, not more. So, do you feel a strong urge to build products? If you have not built a product, do you feel overwhelmed with the fact that you don't have a clue about how to go about it? Or do you feel that the product management field is a black box and it is unclear how to break into it? Now, obviously, depending on whether I'm talking to an entrepreneur or I'm talking to an aspiring product manager, the ranking would be very different. The order would be very different, right? Then I will explore the customer's worldview. This is the next stage. So I'll try to understand how you are solving the problem today. So how do you go about building a product today? What do you learn? What kind of resources do you look for? Right? And what is the best way according to you to learn? Are you learning by watching videos? Are you learning by reading books? Are you learning by talking to some other expert product managers? What exactly are you doing? Right? And finally, we wrap up by giving some follow-up questions if you can, basically taking permissions to forward follow-up questions. So we are almost done with the course and with the course question, and I think we have a pretty awesome pedagogy to help aspiring product managers build and grow their business in an effective manner, an efficient manner. Thanks a lot for your time. Do you think you would be interested in joining the course when we have it ready? Would you know anyone who could be a good candidate for this topic? And finally, document the entire result, whatever happened, whatever transpired in half an hour. I have given some tips below. Do remember this, and this is very, very critical. Okay, so don't ask questions that might get a polite response back. So you want the person to talk. Okay, so don't ask binary questions or don't ask leading questions. Okay, so asking a yes or no question on whether or not they will use your service will often yield a polite answer. Don't try to ask that. Always ask questions that will make them tell you what they already do right now as an alternative to solve their problems. Okay. Probe their behavior instead of asking them questions that leads them to answer what that they want to use your solution. Okay. So you want to understand their behavior and what exactly are they doing in general. So the point of the interview is to learn about them and not to sell to them. Like keep that distinction very clear, right? And the trick to get people to talk more is by asking them open-ended questions like, "What do you usually do to solve the problems?" and not, "Is this how you solve this problem nowadays?" Right? So don't direct them, don't lead them. Just ask an open-ended problem, okay, and just hear them out. Finally, you interview. So आपने script create कर दिया. Now it's time to interview. You interview at least 7 to 10 customers or users using the script on the exercise 2. At least three users per segment. If you have segmented already, then at least three users per segment. Okay. Very important that customers or the users can't be someone you already know. तो फायदा नहीं होगा because it's way more important they should fit into a customer segment. You want as unbiased a response as possible, right? So try to avoid interviewing your mother, your sister, your girlfriend, or anybody else, right? And record these interactions however you can, video, audio, notes, whatever. Video is the best, but sometimes people get conscious on videos, so maybe take a note. But note में दिक्कत क्या होती है कि when you're taking notes, the user might get disconnected. So in that case, try to keep a separate person who can take notes. Okay. Once again, I'm repeating, don't ask leading questions, listen more than you talk, ask why, and then when somebody gives a reply, give a, give us give a follow-up question. Tell me more about that, right? And he will talk more. Okay. And then when you hear the solutions, a lot of time people directly jump to the solution. Remember, you need to take him back to the problem and keep pestering about the problem itself. Okay. Because everybody wants to be seen as a problem solver, and you want him to just talk about problem and identify what is the core crux reason why he wants or he or she wants the solution, wants to use the product. And finally, you convert the interviews into useful documentation. I've personally done it. I'm guilty of this problem. And I've seen plenty of people doing the same thing, which is not converting the interview into a useful report that could be then used. Okay, जब इंटरव्यू तुरंत हुआ होता है ना, you are fresh and the entire thought, entire process is fresh in your mind. That is a prime time to actually record and convert the output into a usable documentation, because 1 week down the line, trust me, you will not remember everything, right? So you map out the current user flow to solve the problem and use a flow diagram with images of the app screens if needed. If you already have app screens, you can use it. This is just a sample user flow, but you get a sense that essentially you created the entire, converted the interview into a something useful. It could be a user flow diagram like this, or it could be a simple report. Okay, like this. So you can also create a category: customer sanity check, mail logs, new tool, email validation, blah blah blah. You've created categories, then you're finding, then recommendation, and then also add severity and effort to implementation. So this is, just look at this example. I've just picked this up from internet. This is a fantastic example of how you can convert interviews into an actionable insight, right? So essentially, this is synthesizing the output. The fifth step, which I explained here, right? Fifth step, synthesizing. So you're essentially synthesizing now, and there's a clear, actionable insight you're getting. Anybody who sees it after the interview clearly understands कि क्या हुआ interview के बीच में, and what was the final output. कि the recommendation is that we should do these two things immediately because severity बहुत high है and effort इसका तो none है, तो इसको तुरंत करना चाहिए. Correct?